Well, good morning. I'm Brent Adams here with your Rural Strong Morning Ag Report for this Thursday, January 4th. Leading off the headlines this morning, grain futures ended 2023 significantly in the red, with corn futures suffering their biggest yearly drop in a decade, according to a new analysis by the University of Illinois Farm Policy website. Wheat and soybeans also posted steep declines in 2023, following bumper harvests in Brazil and resilient Black Sea trade. The most active corn contract was down 31% in 2023, while wheat was down 21% and soybeans were down 15%. Mike Zuzolo, president of Global Commodity Analytics, adds that in 2024, producers are going to be a lot more concerned about their input costs, and that is where beans play a much bigger role. The U.S. Department of Agriculture also expects soybean acres to increase in 2024, with the November World Agricultural Supply and Demand Estimates report predicting that U.S. farmers will plant 87 million acres of soybeans in 2024, an increase of 3.4 million acres. Corn acres are expected to be 91 million acres, a decrease of 3.9 million acres, according to the USDA. Well, liquid fuel sales, including ethanol blended gas, will continue for the foreseeable future, according to most experts, despite the politics of climate change. U.S. electric vehicle sales were up by more than half last year over 2022, but automakers say growth slowed as consumers had second thoughts over prices, battery range, and a lack of charging stations. The Biden administration wants half of new sales to be EVs by 2030 as it promotes its climate agenda with regulations and green investments, raising concern in the ethanol industry.
Demand for liquid fuels in light-duty transportation, we do expect to be flat or declining over the long term.
But shorter term or even longer, Renewable Fuels Association head Jeff Cooper is more upbeat.
We don't expect to see significant demand loss in the short term, really even in the 5 to 10 year window. We think the demand destruction that would be attributable to EVs is probably not really going to be terribly acute until in that 10 to 15 to 20 year time horizon.
And if last year is any clue,
we saw stronger overall gasoline consumption and stronger levels of ethanol blending and continued advancement in higher blends like E15 and E85.
Including RFA road testing, E85, and a hybrid electric vehicle. But bottom line, as USDA Secretary Tom Vilsack sees it,
we're going to have cars that use ethanol for a long time.
Meantime, U.S. oil production has hit a record pace as the president seeks lower gas prices in an election year, and environmental activists protest projects in Alaska and West Virginia. Well, demand for organic cotton in the U.S. is growing, but imports continue to pick up the slack of inadequate domestic production. A new project led by Texas A&M AgriLife Research aims to turn the situation around by identifying the challenges and opportunities for U.S. organic cotton growers. The study, Fostering Sustainable Organic Cotton Production in the U.S. through research and outreach on organic regenerative practices, is funded by a $3.5 million U.S. Department of Agriculture National Institute of Food and Agriculture grant. Researchers expect the study to help U.S. organic cotton producers determine how to improve yields, productivity, and sustainability in their existing fields and transition more acres into organic production. Organizers say they want to understand what production challenges exist, how they're being managed, and how their practices are impacting the soil and output long term. With no synthetic herbicides allowed, the project will identify other methods that might minimize the tillage needed for weed control. Well, one expert says it could be more difficult for producers to turn a profit in 2024. Here with those details is USDA Radio's Gary Crawford.
It looks like producers will need to tighten their financial belts a little bit more in 2024. This after a year that brought on a 21% drop in net cash farm income. This from USDA's chief economist Seth Meyer, who says commodity prices continue to soften going into this new year. And he told us,
for this crop that we're marketing right now, every major crop generally showing falling commodity prices in this marketing year. And I think absent some other external disruption, we're going to have challenging prices in the coming year and a challenging margins when it comes to things like break even for things like corn and soybeans.
And so Meyer says that in this next year,
farmers are going to have to be on their marketing game. They're going to have to be paying attention a lot more to that margin and that cost.
especially since input prices continue to stay historically high. Gary Crawford for the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
And finally, this morning, one expert is voicing optimism about the winter wheat crop. Here one final time is Gary Crawford.
For most of the winter wheat crop,
the situation there has actually improved over the last couple of months.
USDA meteorologist Brad Rippey told us, yes, the crop, of course, is not actively doing anything to help itself right now, but the weather has been kind to it.
We have seen mild conditions, so no sustained cold weather creating any problems for the crop. And in addition to that, we've seen the drought coverage in the U.S. winter wheat production areas decreasing.
From 49% down to 30%, also going into the new year.
We already know we've got the best winter wheat crop based on condition reports since 2019. Hopefully we can sustain that improvement with less drought and keep the bitter cold away.
And the current El Nino weather pattern usually helps in that regard. And so an optimistic Brad Rippey says,
we should have a decent crop heading into spring of 2024.
This is Gary Crawford reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
Well, you can keep up with the latest from the world of agriculture by subscribing to the Tractors and Troubadours podcast from Rural Strong Media. Each week, I bring you agriculture industry newsmakers, hot button industry issues, educational features, and the best in traditional country music. The Tractors and Troubadours podcast can be found at ruralstrongmedia.com or wherever you get your podcasts. We also invite you to join us daily on Rural Strong Radio, our 24/7 streaming radio station found at ruralstrongmedia.com or on the Live 365 streaming radio app for your mobile device. Each day, we bring you our award-winning agriculture programming as well as the best in traditional country music mixed in with a little bluegrass, western swing, southern rock, and inspirational music. Again, the place to find Rural Strong Radio is ruralstrongmedia.com or the Live 365 streaming radio app. We're portable, so take us with you everywhere you go while you're working on the farm or ranch. We'll get you through those work days just fine. Well, I'll be back again tomorrow with another Rural Strong Morning Ag Report here on Steve Shetler Media. Make it a great day, everybody.